Welcome to the Hometown Bluegrass Show with Kentucky boys Tim Batts and Josh Williams. Tim is a music promoter, radio host, and passionate bluegrasser, and Josh is a 20-time Bluegrass Guitar Player of the Year. This podcast is all about bluegrass music, where they swap stories, crack jokes, and pick on each other. Josh even plays a song or two in each episode. Plus, they sit down with bluegrass artists and insiders for interviews you won't hear anywhere else. It's music, it's laughs, it's all things bluegrass, right here on the Hometown Bluegrass Show. Now, here are your hosts, Tim Batts and Josh Williams.
Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to the Hometown Bluegrass Show. This is episode number 94. And thank you, Miss Cindy Bauckham, for the kind words there in the intro. And you do have your host, Tim Batts. Now, my illustrious co-host, Mr. Josh Williams, is not with me right now. He is out gallivanting around Ireland with the band Southern Legacy. They are doing like a 10 or 12-day tour of Ireland, and fans have paid to go, and they've got tons of shows lined up. So they are abroad spreading the good cheer of bluegrass music to another part of the country, so another part of the world. So I'm sure they're having fun. You can check them out on Facebook, Southern Legacy, and see about all their ventures as they have traveled over there and playing lots of great music. So wish them safe travels and pray for a good time and a safe trip back home. But for now, you just got me. So this will be a little bit different this week and next week. Josh and I sat down right before he left the country and had a great talk and interview with Mr. Wayne Benson. And if you don't know who Wayne Benson is, if you've been living under a bluegrass rock somewhere, Wayne is an amazing guy, married to Kristen Scott Benson, and they are just a wonderful musical family. And Wayne grew up, started playing mandolin in his teens, kind of grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina area, and Mr. Scott Vestal invited him to join a band called Livewire back in the late 80s. And so Wayne went on and did that for a few years and then was kind of discovered by Russell Moore, Third Time Out, and has been with them ever since. So a long-time member of Russell Moore and Third Time Out. He did leave for a little bit, went and played with some guy you may have heard of named John Cowan, but has spent most of his time in the musical world playing with Russell Moore and Third Time Out. And so he also has a wonderful online presence. You can find him on YouTube at Wayne's World of Mandolin. He does lots of great content, gives online lessons. So be sure and check him out on YouTube, Wayne's World of Mandolin. And you'll find some great, useful information on there. If you love playing bluegrass music, especially the mandolin, then you'll want to check that out for sure. So, but this is going to be a cool episode. I thought we'd do something just a little bit different. And I wanted to, we'll play the interview with Wayne on the second half of the show, but I wanted to just kind of give you a little brief story about how the Hometown Bluegrass Show podcast started, how Josh and I came to be with that, and then just kind of briefly talk about a little bit how I came up with the name, kind of what hometown means in the bluegrass music world. And then I also want to do something a little different. Josh is always playing and singing on the show, and I wanted to give you guys a little bit something different. It's not going to be as good as Josh, but I've written a few songs and actually have an album of all original songs that I put out a couple of years ago. And I just want to play you a couple songs from that album, talk about a little bit about those songs, and hope you'll be blessed by those and find those entertaining, and maybe spread the good message about the songs that I've written there. So, but anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. We do appreciate all our listeners. I get messages all the time, every week, from listeners on our Facebook page, the Hometown Bluegrass Show. All the time, people reaching out saying, "I love your show," and listen to all the episodes and everything. It's hard to believe anybody can listen or would listen to 90-something episodes of us talking about bluegrass music, but you're out there, and we appreciate you so much. So we want to hear from you. Just find us on Facebook at the Hometown Bluegrass Show. and shoot us a message on there. We want to hear what hometown you listen from, and also just kind of hear anything that you'd like Josh to sing. He's been not doing that quite as much lately. We've had some great interviews. If you missed last week's episode, it was with Dan Tyminski. Josh and I took a couple-hour road trip to Owensboro, Kentucky, to the Bluegrass Music Hall of Fame and Museum. And we were asked to come there and do a podcast, and we got tickets to go see Dan Tyminski's show that night. And so we got a tour of the museum from Adam, the director there, and just treated us like royalty and had a great time. And we got to hang out with Dan before the show and interview him for the podcast, and then listen to an amazing show. And it was a great night. So be sure and check that out, episode 93 with Dan Tyminski, and you'll enjoy that, I'm sure. So, but anyway, want to get right into the story about how the Hometown Bluegrass Show podcast came about. I got into bluegrass music maybe a little bit later in life, maybe than a lot of you, especially later than Josh did. But I got hooked on bluegrass music probably only about 25 or 30 years ago, and actually talk about this in with Wayne Benson, but kind of heard some Russell Moore, Third Time Out, a few other bands, and just got eat up with it. Started playing a little music, and that's where you really get addicted to, is when you start playing bluegrass music. Started out trying to play the fiddle, found out real quick I suck at that, but I took lessons for a couple years and just never did get to the point where I wanted to be. So I started playing the mandolin, and that came a little bit easier to me because I just wanted to kind of sing and play and jam and that sort of thing. And so anyway, started playing the guitar after that. So I didn't even start all that till I was 30 years old. So, I'll be 57 this week. So it kind of came late in life for me, but just love the music, love what it stands for, the stories behind the songs, the people that I've met at all the festivals and the jam sessions and in the industry. It's just been an amazing journey through this bluegrass music world. And so I just wanted to get involved in any way I could. So I started promoting bluegrass music, trying to promote concerts and festivals. And I became the president of a local bluegrass chapter called the Jackson Purchase Friends of Bluegrass, where I was vice president and president for many years. And Josh's dad actually started that organization back in the 90s. But so we had a monthly show at the Kentucky Opry in Benton, Kentucky, Josh's hometown. And so we had a great time with that. And then just became more involved with it, started doing a radio show with bluegrass music, and just lots of other things. And I had the idea of I wanted to do a podcast. I wanted to start something that maybe we could take it to a few more people in a broader audience. And so I was putting together a festival that I've been doing in Calvert City, Kentucky, which is right there at the north end of Kentucky Lake. Beautiful city. They work with us and asked us to join forces with them for a fall festival they had. They wanted to do bluegrass music. So I've kind of taken that over and made it into a bluegrass music festival. And it's the first Saturday in October every year. This will be our fourth year to do it, coming up in 2026. And so we're working on that now. But in 2023, the first year that we did that, Josh was there. We were talking one day, and I was actually recording him doing some interviews for our radio show, and some kind of little stingers and things. And we were sitting in my truck, and I said, Josh, I'd really love to do a bluegrass music podcast, and I think that would be a lot of fun. And I think you and I could do it together. We live close by each other. We're friends, and if you've come off the road now with Rhonda Vincent, you've got a little more time. What do you think about that? And he looked at me square in the eye and said, "Hell yeah, let's do it." So, pardon the French, but that's just what the man said. So I'm jumping in with both feet, trying to figure out how to podcast and the best way to do it. So we jumped right in, and so that's kind of how the Hometown Bluegrass Show podcast started. We started out kind of scripting the episodes and trying to make them formal and whatnot, and we quickly found our personalities didn't quite jive with that. So we just started just kind of going with the flow and just kind of doing our thing and let our personalities shine through. Josh and I are a lot different in our personalities, but we gel together somehow, and we feel like we have a great friendship and a great camaraderie, and we work well together. So we've kind of took off on that, and that's kind of how the Hometown Bluegrass Show podcast started. So and the name I just thought was just symbolic with what bluegrass music represents. When I think about bluegrass music, I think about small town, rural America, just country folk. I think about, just the great stories that have come from bluegrass music, where it started not far from where we are here in Western Kentucky with Bill Monroe. And so I don't know. I just thought Hometown Bluegrass Show kind of fit, and what it signifies to me is there's great stories all across this nation. And yeah, you're going to hear bluegrass music in New York City and Boston and California and the big cities there. You're going to hear it a lot of different places. But there's just something about the good old hometown bluegrass feel and sound, especially from the mountains of Eastern Kentucky and Tennessee, but it started here in Western Kentucky, where it started, and that's where Josh and I reside, and so lots of hometowns all across America, and but to me, that's what bluegrass music is all about. So anyway, that's where we come away with that. So anyway, this is going to be a great episode. I wanted to fill you in on kind of how that started and a little bit about where Josh is at. He'll be gone again on the next episode. They'll be back after that. So we'll do something similar like this for our next episode, which will be episode 95. We'll do Wayne Benson Part 1 and Wayne Benson Part 2. We had a great long talk with him, so kind of dividing that up where it's not quite as long. But before we move on with our talk with Wayne Benson, we're going to come back and I'm going to talk to you just a little bit about a couple of songs I wrote, and just wanted to share with you the idea of the songs and actually play the songs for you. Just hope you enjoy them, but we're going to take a quick break and want to do that when we come back. So you hang with us, and we'll be right back.
Custom Automotive in Calvert City, Kentucky has been a family-operated business for over 50 years. When you call Custom Automotive, you'll talk to an experienced tire and wheel expert. They install wheels and tires on thousands of vehicles every year in addition to their online sales. Stop by and thank them for supporting bluegrass music. Custom Automotive, Highway 62, Calvert City, Kentucky, 270-395-7611. Or visit them online at customautoonline.com.
Looking for expert insurance advice from a team that truly knows Western Kentucky? At Paducah Insurance Agency, we're more than just policies. We're your neighbors, helping you protect what matters most. With locations in Paducah and Benton, Kentucky, we offer home, auto, business, and life insurance with top carriers like IIIrd Insurance, all at competitive rates. Locally owned and committed to your peace of mind, Jared Morgan and his team are here to help. Call Paducah Insurance Agency today at 855-853-4763 or visit paducahinsurance.com. Paducah Insurance, coverage you can count on from people you trust.
Howdy, friends. I'm Banjo Ben Clark, and you're listening to my good buddies Tim Batts and Josh Williams on the Hometown Bluegrass Show. You've tuned in because you like valuable conversation about the world's best music. And if you want more good stuff like that, come on over to my website, banjobenclark.com, where you can learn how to play and purchase anything you might need when it comes to bluegrass-related instruments and accessories. My Gold Pick members over there can access hundreds of lessons for banjo, guitar, and mandolin with all kinds of resources to help you move on down the road with your picking skills. And if you're looking to purchase something, the deals can't be beat at Banjo Ben's General Store. All there on the same website, banjobenclark.com. Now back to the show.
Thank you, Banjo Ben. We do appreciate your sponsorship of the Hometown Bluegrass Show and also Paducah Insurance and Custom Automotive. We thank you for your support, and you can go to banjobenclark.com, and they have a website full of great gifts and things that you need for the musician in your life. And if you buy something on there, go into your cart and use the promo code Hometown10, and they will take 10% right off your order just for listening to the Hometown Bluegrass Show. So we do appreciate that very much, Banjo Ben. And now I want to get on with kind of what I'm calling the songwriter segment of this episode, number 94. I want to talk about a couple of songs that I wrote several years ago, and I wanted to introduce you to those songs and play those songs for you. So the first song that I want to talk to you about, and I wrote an album. I have an album that came out a few years ago. The title track of the album is called Daddy's Truck. The song called Daddy's Truck, the title track of that album, was inspired by obviously my dad's truck that he bought when I was a little kid. It's a 1972 Chevrolet four-wheel drive pickup, which I still have to this day. He has passed on and gone on to see the Lord now, but I still have that truck, and it's a special truck around these parts of Western Kentucky, here in Ballard County, Kentucky, where I live. And so anyway, you can check that out. There's a YouTube video. If you just go to YouTube, type in Tim Batts Daddy's Truck. There's actually a music video I made several years ago with that truck in it, and pretty cool. Shot in my hometown and in front of the old family house and where I live now and all that good stuff. So anyway, but there's 10 original songs on that album that I've written. And I wanted to play 2 for you in this episode. I'm going to play 2 more for you on the next episode. And the first one that I wanted to showcase for you was the song called The Good Old Gospel Song. So I grew up in church, as many of you did, as a young boy, and we grew up singing all those old good gospel hymns and just the old Baptist hymn book and all that good stuff. So one day I was doing some songwriting, and I was thinking, I wonder if I could take just the titles of all of the old songs that we grew up singing and mash them together and tell a story with just using the titles of a bunch of the old hymns that we grew up. So that we grew up singing. So anyway, that's where this song came from, and I mashed them together. So listen to the words of this song, see how many hymn titles that you recognize in this song. And I ended up recording this with a buddy of mine, Corey Evans, in Paducah, Kentucky. And we actually got a Southern Gospel Quartet to kind of sing on this with us a little bit and got a little stuff on there. And so anyway, hope you enjoy this. I want to hear if you do. And this is The Good Old Gospel Song.
Stories of his amazing grace. What a friend we have in Jesus, 'cause there he took my place. At the cross his blood was shed for me. I'll trust and obey, 'cause there's victory in Jesus. One day I'll fly away. Well, those good old gospel songs, they always touch my heart, like there's power in the blood of the Lamb. My life was made whole on the day he saved my soul. I gave it all to him as we sang just as I am. His name is wonderful, it's the sweetest name I know. On that old rugged cross he made it well with my soul. I feel blessed assurance in the sweet hour of prayer. When the roll is called up yonder, I know that I'll be there. Well, those good old gospel songs, they always touch my heart, like there's power in the blood of the Lamb. My life was made whole on the day he saved my soul. I gave it all to him as we sang just as I am. Took my sin away. I saw the light of Jesus' love so brightly shine, till I reached my home in the sky. In the sweet by and by, I'll brighten up the world with this little light of mine. Everybody, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Well, those good old gospel songs, they always touch my heart like there's power in the blood of the Lamb. My life was made whole on the day He saved my soul. I gave it all to Him as the same just as I am. I gave it all to Him as the same just as I am.
And there you have it. There's the good old gospel song. I hope you enjoyed that. It's a fun song. And I sing at a lot of different assisted living, nursing home facilities every month. So I usually sing that song and some other solo gig type stuff. But of course, I don't perform near as much as Josh or do it professionally or anything like that. But it's fun and I enjoy it. And I really do have a good time. And I think it blesses the people, probably blesses me more singing at nursing homes than it does them. But it's a good time. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that. The next song I'm going to do for you real quick is I have been on several mission trips to Eastern Kentucky. And it's a wonderful thing to do if you ever get a chance. I visited a place called the Marizzo Ministries out there several years, and I went many times, and it's a special place. I love our state, our bluegrass state. And although I was born and raised and live in far western Kentucky, Eastern Kentucky is just as beautiful and mountainous, and it's just a different way of living, and it's just great people out there. But it inspired me to write this song while I was out there after hearing about a man who'd lost his wife to cancer, and it just got to thinking about how sometimes those mountains might seem gloomy and down, and literally when you are in, like where we were around Harlan, Kentucky and Lynch, Kentucky, I mean, you're literally right there in a town where, I mean, like Patty Loveless sings about, the sun comes up at 10 in the morning, goes down at 3 in the day. I mean, you're just in mountains all around, and sometimes it's hard to kind of see the sun, and you lose sight sometimes of God's glory and what can goodness can come from it. So, but anyway, cancer took my daddy, and I know it's taken a lot of loved ones from you probably as well, or at least people but this song was written kind of hope to inspire someone who may have lost someone to cancer, and this is the story of a man who lost his wife to cancer and how he overcame that with God's help. But this song here is called Cold November Day.
Eastern Kentucky gets colder every year. Cancer took her from me, and my world has turned to tears. Staring at the mountains as the days pass me by, dreaming of what's on the other side. Deep in this valley on a cold November day, will the pain of losing her ever go away? Then I feel the warmth as I see the sun so bright, telling me it'll all be alright as I pray on this cold November day. I can't believe she's gone, still don't seem real. Wish I had one more chance to tell her how I feel. I watched her fade away from this world, she is now free. Oh my God, why did you take my love from me? Deep in this valley on a cold November day, will the pain of losing her ever go away? Then I feel the warmth as I see the sun so bright, telling me it'll all be alright as I pray on this cold November day. But even in the hard times when I just don't feel His love, His amazing grace takes me to the mountaintop above. The love of my Savior is the beauty that I see. In His loving arms forever she will be. And the very mountains that once stood in my way help me to rise up to a better day. Deep in this valley on a cold November day, will the pain of losing her ever go away? Then the voice of God fills the mountain air like a song of hope, reminding me He's there as I pray on this cold November day.
There's Cold November Day. I hope you enjoyed that song as well. Just wanted to share a couple of songs that I've written, and we'll play a couple more next week on the episode. These songs, if you're listening to this podcast, you can go to our Facebook page, and you can see. I'll put links to these songs on our Facebook page, but you can listen to this whole album on Spotify or Apple Music or YouTube. And you can even see the video of the Daddy's Truck title album, the title track to the album on my website, timbats.com, or on YouTube. So anyway, thanks for flattering me and giving me the chance to share some of my music with you guys. Josh is obviously the seasoned professional and such an amazing singer and player, and but he's in Ireland and he's not here, so I got to do what I want. So anyway, appreciate you very much. So anyway, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have our great conversation that we had, Josh and I, with mandolin aficionado, Mr. Wayne Benson. So y'all stay tuned.
The Lake House Inn at Sled Creek has undergone complete renovation in 2023. Our outdoor space is unlike any other at Kentucky Lake. With 2 in-ground pools, 18 rooms, and 4 cabins, we're just a stone's throw away from Kentucky Dam. If you're looking to make memories with your family, this nostalgic inn is for you. Welcome to your lake house, where modern meets rustic and becomes home. Reserve online at lakehouseinn.com.
Hey, this is Josh Williams for Page Capos. The Page Capo is lightweight, durable, and quickly attaches and allows you to change frets with ease. With controlled tension capabilities, Page Capo always stays in tune. But don't just take my word for it. Page Capos is also used by folks like Vince Gill, Ron Block, Tim O'Brien, Cody Kilby, Tommy Emmanuel, and James Taylor. So don't trust just any capo. Use what the pros use. Listen to the Hometown Bluegrass Show podcast for your chance to win a Page Capo on every episode. Do what I do and trust Page Capos. Order online at pagecapo.com.
The Gibson Brothers are coming to the Kentucky Opry.
Happy people all around me, but I've never felt so low. It's just one more night without you, everywhere I go.
The Gibson Brothers, Saturday night, March 21st.
Who makes me forget all the other girls I've met? Sweet little Miss Blue Eyes.
The Gibson Brothers.
We don't know where we're going, but we sure are making good time.
The Gibson Brothers, bringing the bluegrass to the Kentucky Opry. Saturday night, March 21st. For reservations, call the Opry or go to KentuckyOpry.com.
I'm troubled in mind.
All right. Thanks again to our great sponsors, the Lake House Inn and Page Capos, where we give away a Page Capo and a McEwen guitar pick in every single episode. All you have to do to win is on Fridays when the podcast comes out, head over to our Facebook page, the Hometown Bluegrass Show. And there I will post some type of trivia question that comes from that episode and be the first two people to answer that correctly. And you can win a Page Capo and a McEwen guitar pick. And we love doing that. And also, don't forget the Gibson brothers will be at the Kentucky Opry in Draftonville, Kentucky, tomorrow night. So make plans to attend that. Tickets are still available at KentuckyOpry.com. Be a great bluegrass show for you to attend. So now here is our conversation that Josh and I had with mandolin expert and amazing guy, Mr. Wayne Benson. Hope you enjoy. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Hometown Bluegrass Show. I am Tim Batts along with Josh Williams, and we're just having a blast visiting with you guys right here on episode 94 of the Hometown Bluegrass Show. Is this 94? Yep, 94. I can't keep track.
That's good enough.
Close enough. But we're super excited with our guests that we got on this episode. Kristen was not available, but we found Wayne Benson instead, and so we got him with us right here. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, pal. How are you?
Oh, we're doing great, man. We kid because
we're glad
we
to
care.
have you, man. You know, everybody's, Kristen's winning all these awards. Everybody loves Kristen. We wanted to talk to Wayne.
Right.
We love Kristen too, but we wanted to get Wayne on here because Wayne and I go way back.
Way back.
Way back. Back to the 90s. Back to the 1900s.
Holy cow.
That's right.
That's a long time
God,
ago.
that makes it sound so long ago.
I mean, y'all been playing music that long?
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah.
What have you been up to, Mr. Benson?
Well, the same, still the 3TO thing is my main deal. As far as recently, this past week, we played over at Ricky Watson's place in Clay City, Virginia at the Meadowgreen Park, which is always a really great gig to go play. Man, with this, Josh saying we go back to the 90s, that's one of those venues that's been around for that long. We used to play there, another synchronicity here, this being episode 94, since probably at least 1994, probably further back than that 3TO has been playing that venue. So we were there this past weekend and we've had pretty steady gigs. Russell came off of the Allison tour at the early part of October last year. And so we gigged from then, up until Christmas, and then started back up in January over at Milton Harkey's show there in near Asheville, North Carolina. And we played up in Galax and did a really cool theater in Fort Payne, Alabama. And we've got 4 more gigs between now and when Russell he'll start rehearsals with Allison again at the beginning of April.
Yeah. I think I saw a video on social media from Ricky's place that y'all played. Y'all played Rose of My Heart.
Yeah.
Y'all still do that regularly? Or I hadn't heard y'all in a while.
You would not believe how many requests that we get for that song.
Yeah.
And I can remember Ken Irwin brought that to the band. It was when we were on Rounder. And we were actually mixing the Live at the Mac record, and nobody else in the band was actually in town, and I was living in Nashville. So we would go to Rich Adler's place, and Ken Irwin was there, sitting in on the mixes and stuff as well. And we sat in my little Honda that morning, and he played me, I guess it was a demo of Rose of My Heart. And I honestly have to say, when I was sitting there listening to that demo, I was thinking, man, there's no way this is a 3TO song. It's never going to happen.
What year was that? You remember?
That would have been like 92 or
wow.
93, I guess. And then it ended up being it seems like that one's on the John and Mary album, if I recall
it is, yeah.
correctly. But we get a ton of requests for that.
That's awesome. Yeah, actually, the John and Mary album is really instrumental for me personally getting hooked on bluegrass music. I mean, that was one of the first, when I really remember getting eat up with it. John and Mary was where it was at. So I love that song. It was just, I don't know. I've seen you guys a bunch and I just didn't remember seeing you do it live before. And I thought maybe you'd pulled it out of the archives after a while, but
no, that one's been a mainstay all these years.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I remember that song from years ago. Special C actually cut that long before I was ever in the band, but they cut that in probably, it would have been roughly a little bit, well, it would have been a little bit before you guys, but not much. You guys it was pretty close together.
Okay.
But that's where I actually knew the song from. And then when I heard Russell sing it, it sounded like a completely different song, you know? I mean, it was just such a good song. I mean, it's never one that we sang even when I was in Special C, but it's a great song. Do you remember who wrote that?
Hugh Moffett, if I'm not mistaken.
There you go. Well, that will explain it. You know, I mean, you know, the other song, Tim, I don't know if you're familiar with Hugh Moffett, but if you've ever heard the song "Old Flames Can't Hold a Candle to You," that's Hugh Moffett.
I've heard his name before. That's incredible. Of course, the mandolin kickoff is so recognizable on that "Rose of My Heart" song. It's just one of those that just you never recognize it in about two notes. You know, it's so awesome.
Well, thank you for that.
I have a question since you brought up John and Mary. What gave you the idea for the mandola thing on that?
I'm glad you asked that. That's going to ask the same question.
Yeah, man, this is actually it's hard to believe that there's a connection here, but the Bill Monroe instrumental "Get Up John" is an alternate tuning. And that song had kind of resurfaced. I'm not sure if Ricky Skaggs was doing that one live yet or not, or it could have been David Harvey. I remember hearing him tune down and play that. And I learned that tune when I was a kid, like maybe 13, 14 years old. My uncle showed me how Munn had tuned the mandolin for that particular song. And well, John and Mary, I'm playing a mandola on that, but it's not tuned in fifths the way it typically would be. The A strings are tuned down to G, and the D strings are tuned down to C, which makes the tuning from the bottom up G, C, G, C. And I had not owned this mandola very long at that point, but I was goofing off with alternate tunings a lot because of the whole "Get Up John" thing. And I thought, man, there's, other stuff that could be going on here. So it almost feels like you're playing a mountain dulcimer or something because it's just ones and fives. It's tuned in that power chord. And this was, Kristen and I had not been dating very long. And I remember I was going to meet her downtown just to eat lunch before I left to go on a trip, on a 3TO trip. And the bus, runs out of Atlanta. So it's about a 5-hour drive. Anyway, I was goofing off with this melody, and I used to always keep a Sony cassette deck, just battery-powered tape deck in my backpack. And I came up with that melody, and I thought, man, that's fun enough to play that I'm going to just record it on this cassette tape. And so I did. And then that night, after everyone else had gone to bed, Shorty was, that's Russell, we call him Shorty. He was driving the bus, and he said, man, let's listen to some tunes. And this was a 1973 Eagle. There was no radio or anything up front. We had a boom box that we would put cassette tapes in. And I said, man, I was goofing off with some stuff before I left Nashville today. And I put the tape in of myself playing just exactly the same exact melody that it is now. And as soon as Russell heard that, man, it was like it was meant to be. He pretty much had the first verse of the song. And the whole Alabama, down in South Alabama, there were some folks that used to do a festival down in Gadsden, Alabama. And I'm thinking we had just played that gig. This was in the autumn of the year. And that's how the whole thing happened. It was almost accidental. And then we worked it up as a band later, and we used to always rehearse through a sound system and record whatever we had. And it was like really close to not even being on the record. And Ken Irwin heard it and said, man, we got to cut this. And then it ended up being the title cut, with that, the artwork on that record. Ray Deaton's daughter had just got married not too far before that. So she still had her wedding gown and all that. And the whole band had tuxes and stuff that we had purchased at one point just to wear to award shows and stuff like that. So we put those on, and that's how the artwork grew to support the song and everything. But it's one of those things that you never see it coming, and next to Erase the Miles, that's been the most requested song that the band has ever had.
Well, it's usually your show closer. I mean, everybody wants to hear it.
Yeah, because it's in a halftime feel, and people can dance to it, and it really is amazing how the blessing that something like that can be. And it was so unintentional. It happened in such an organic kind of way.
That makes the song even more special to me. And the whole song is really 2 chords, isn't it? But mostly 1 chord, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I have to get this in there too. Donnie, our sound tech, Donnie Carver, he helped Shorty with the lyrics to I'm not even sure to what extent. Seems like I stayed up and rode shotgun like the first shift that night. And then after Straight, that's Donnie's nickname is Straight. When he got up and relieved me from riding shotgun, and then he and Russell finished up, I think, that same night.
Wow. That is so cool. What a neat story. That is amazing. Yeah, everybody recognizes it.
No idea that you guys had written that. That's awesome.
You didn't realize that it was an original song?
No, I had no idea. I have the record, and I don't look at that stuff near as much as I do like who's playing on what and all that. I don't look at the little small print underneath the title.
Sure. And it is definitely a stretch when you try to think of that as being influenced by Bill Monroe, but the whole alternate tuning thing.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Is the reason that kind of unfolded the way that it did. And it was nominated for Song of the Year the same year that a little tune you may have heard of called Murder on Music Row won Song of the Year that year. Yeah.
I remember that. I remember how all that went down.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. They're equally as good, I think. And I think you go to any bluegrass festival, I think you'd make people happy if you played either one of those songs. So
yeah, well, man, it's definitely a 3TO song. You're not going to find a bunch of guys in a MASH jam session somewhere in North Carolina doing that one. I'll guarantee you. And those same people are not going to like it. That was something like that happens when you're entering into the season of your career where you realize that you're a pro and that you don't play music for your peers. You certainly would like to earn their respect, but you're also trying to monetize what you do and all. Not that it's not a commercially conceived melody by any point, but it kind of went that as far as bluegrass is concerned, it's a commercial success.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's a really weird thing.
But to me, what makes it so cool is that whole backstory there from, Bill Monroe's alternate turning all the way to the cassette and you recording it. I mean, that's just amazing.
So I'm curious on when you're, I know you started playing fairly young, correct?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah. So you weren't like just somebody that decided you're kind of like the way I was, where you grew up playing.
Yeah, from the time I was, my parents loved music, man. There was always music playing in our house. My dad loved Kenny Baker. He loved fiddle playing. He loved Monroe and listened to that kind of thing. My mom was really into the Osborne brothers, man. She liked those trio vocals and all that. So I got to hear it all. And we had bluegrass album band records, the same exact stuff that you grew up hearing, Josh. That's what I listened to. That's what I was influenced by. But also, as far as like evolution, I go from that into when I met Clay Jones. And that guy had Mar West and acoustics and Still Inside and those records like that. And then I discovered Newgrass Revival after seeing them on Austin City Limits. And so then the whole thing kind of opened up, and I'm that hybrid guy that, and I'm just honest about all this, man. If any Bill Monroe style mandolin that you hear me play, it's because I heard Lawson play like Munn, like learning the On My Way Back to the Old Home break. I got a lot of that stuff secondhand, or listening to Skaggs playing a Bill Monroe style. That's kind of the evolution of things for me, and that's from the age of like 5, 6 years old, playing guitar and learning chords, and then I get a mandolin as a later 12, 13 is when I fall into that, and really not necessarily decided to play mandolin. It's just what I started doing all the time, but it was never with any kind of intention. My relationship with my mandolin was the same as my relationship with my skateboard. They both sat in the same area of the house. It was totally doing it in the spirit of fun.
That's awesome, man. So was Livewire like the first real touring bluegrass thing that you did?
It was that, and that was pretty much right out of high school. I was 19, but see, I had met Scott Vestal and Russell Moore when they were both playing with Dole. I would go to the festival at Denton, and those guys were young, man. Russell's like 5 years older than me, but at the time, when you're 15 and somebody's 20 years old, or I'm 16 and they're 21, that felt like a real difference. And I really looked up to, and I still look up to them, but especially then. But man, we would jam in the parking lot at Denton until the sun was coming up, just kids really out picking together. And then when Scott, decided that he was going to depart from Quicksilver, he gave me a call to see if I wanted to pick some.
That's awesome, man.
But that's how this works, the whole networking thing and all that we have now through social media and all those things. I mean, back then it was get out and do it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is our networking back then, is the late night jam sessions and hanging out. And
sure,
this sounds awesome. Let's do some more of this. Oh, we can start a band,
That was social media back then, wasn't it?
That was. Yeah, that was your social media. That's awesome. So how long did you guys tour as Livewire?
That band was together roughly 3 years.
I love that record, man. Did you it was just the one record?
It's just the one record. Yeah.
That's such a good record though, man.
And Scott had got to know Robert, because he was playing with Crow in those days, and he got to know him. And then Robert and Ernie had both played together with the Reno brothers.
Yeah.
So there was the bass player, tenor guy, that was so hard to find in those days, And to hear the whole age thing at that point, Ernie Sykes was 30 and I was 19, and I remember getting together with them the first time. It was in West Virginia, was kind of like a central. I was in North Carolina and Scott was in Georgia, and Ernie lived on Long Island. So, man, we had a tough row to hoe in terms of travel. So Robert's dad got us this cabin to rehearse in at a resort kind of place, ski kind of place in West Virginia. But I remember thinking, it being 19 years old with Ernie, and I thought, man, this dude is old, but he can still cut it, it'll be okay. And he was only 30,
I get that though, man. I get that. I understand.
Yeah.
That was just such a good record and a great band. And that was kind of Scott's whole, going from the Quicksilver and the Terry Bauckham sound that he had back then into kind of his own right, with more of the melodic banjo playing and stuff.
And single string stuff for sure.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting season of Scott's playing at that time, because man, you could flip a coin as to what was about to happen. We could be doing Don't Give Your Heart to a Rambler on stage, man, and it might be full on balk for that last 5 ride, or it could be something completely different than that, but it was always great, man. That guy's, his execution as a musician and his timing, there's nothing else quite like picking with that guy.
Oh yeah, I agree. He's definitely one of the greats, man, and overlooked way too often because of how good he is. But one of my favorite things about that record is that the Miami Vice 1980s photo, cover of that record is so good, with the hair, you guys was rocking back then, man. That was sweet.
Yeah, those were kind of like early days of the mullet. But there was definitely more of a like you're saying, an 80s vibe. Man, some of the pictures, we did these slow exposure pictures where they had these lights on us and they would spin us around on these platforms. And because of the slow exposure, it looked like these lights were making circles around the 4 of us. It could have been way weirder than it turned out. Yeah.
No, I love it though, man. It's one of my favorites. And what's cool for me is, because I grew up listening to you guys. I mean, you're not a whole lot older than me, but I grew up listening to all of that. And then now, like I'll catch my son listening to something, and almost 9 times out of 10 lately, within the last year and a half, it's been the IIIrd record that he's been listening to. And I'm just like, I love walking in and hearing something like that, from my own kids instead of it being something else. It's just really cool to hear that. I was like, I know all those guys, I've known them for a really long time, and Weldon's still like, wow, I'd love to meet him, and all that. But I'm just like, oh yeah, I know those guys. And then I get to take him with me to some shows where he actually gets to see him and talk to him. And he's like, you live such a cool life, Dad.
Yeah. Man, that is a record that has, there for the longest time, I couldn't stand to hear it because I was in so far over my head musically. And some of the things that I played, when I look back on it, man, that break on Deep River with all those triplets, I almost wonder why nobody else in the band didn't say, man, you can't do that. Don't play it. Don't play it that way, And I do remember Bill Vorndick saying to me, it's good that you can play that, but one day you'll regret that you did. And for decades I did. Now I don't. I look back on it, and that 19-year-old was obviously a completely different musician, but I think it says a lot for those guys that they just let me do it, because I have no doubt that they were all thinking, man, that's too much.
Well, I think maybe that was part of the beauty of that band, was that they wanted, with that, you kept overall a traditional sound, but you pushed that envelope of going a step beyond that, and really pushing the envelope as much as you can on stylistically. I think, honestly, I think your playing on that record is great.
I appreciate it. My favorite cut on it is the tune that Robert wrote called "Don't You Ever Go Away." It's one of the ones with percussion. That's a really fun cut still to me to listen to, because it was different being a halftime thing. And I liked Goodbye Marie. That was always a fun one to play. The straighter stuff, man, was somewhat what you would have predicted out of that configuration of players. The stuff like Love Come Home. But man, it was like an introduction for me, as young as I was. But Vestal's playing at that time is well documented because of that record, man. If you listen to the instrumental Wired that he wrote, man, that's an incredibly difficult tune to execute. Kristen can play every ride on that record note for note.
Oh, wow.
Scott. And it drove me. I mean, I heard him work all that stuff up like in hotel rooms and stuff where, because he'd be up at 9 o'clock in the morning playing the banjo. And then I heard Kristen learn all of it. At the house, because she really got into she teaches a lot of that material to people and really does wave the flag for Scott Vestal, because to your point earlier, he gets overlooked and not a lot of younger players are unaware of him.
Yeah, and that blows my mind, honestly, but it's true. And I know Kristen is kind of like me in a lot of ways, where she respects and loves, the way that somebody plays, and they learn that. Like, we learn how Scott plays a certain song a certain way, or like in my case, I did that with Sam on the mandolin. I did that with Tony a lot on the guitar. And it's not that that's how I would play it, but I like learning and being able to play Tony's stuff note for note.
Sure.
That's just kind of one of those things.
Yeah.
If you're gonna play it right. Don't just half-ass it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But I do miss Ernie. Ernie was such a good dude and such a talented singer. And it's funny because, he was y'all's lead or tenor singer for the majority of the stuff. And he had actually such an amazing vocal range that most people don't realize that. He was actually really good at like singing low and kind of being a crooner. But he could get right up there in the middle of you and sing tenor and B and split it in half.
Yep. And he was definitely one of those guys in terms of vocal technique, that it was very intuitive for him to be able to hit notes. Man, Mickey Harris can do that thing too, where he's not really a tenor singer, but he can get that Carl Story kind of technique where it's part push and part head voice and still get enough power in the note, to make it work. Mickey's a real master of that to me. And Ernie was that gospel record the Cardinals did that's so good, man. I can't think of the name of that out. It's a stellar bluegrass gospel record, and Ernie sang all the tenor parts on that. You're right, wow. Man. He could sing like in that Merle Haggard zone, or, cut the tenor in a bluegrass trio.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I remember being somewhere. He had already moved back to, he was living in Long Island again after being in Nashville for a few years and stuff. And back in Long Island, I think it was right after his dad had passed away. And so he was back up in that part of the country, and he started playing with Buddy Merriam, the mandolin player up there in Long Island.
Yep.
Who actually learned from Monroe. That's why he sounds so much like Monroe. He was playing with him and playing upright bass, and I remember him singing I'll Be Over You When the Grass Grows Over Me by George Jones. Yeah. And I just remember coming out and sitting in the front row on watching this, and just listening to this voice come out of Ernie, and, just delivering all of these curls and all of these just vocal impossibilities. And then I remember while he's doing all of this, they go to the tag or whatever, and he hits the 5 over the 1, and I just came out of my seat going, that is the greatest I've ever heard. And that no other live performance that I can think of moved me to the point of just like, literally, I didn't even think about, holy crap, I just did this in front of all these people. I fangirled him, but it was unbelievable, man.
Yeah.
He moved me, and it was just that old country crooning type of vibe that he gave, but playing the bass along with it. I came out of my seat and was just like, that's the greatest thing I ever heard. And afterwards he was like, what was that all about? I was like, you played the 5 over the 1. He's like, yeah, I did. And it was funny because he was appreciative that I appreciated that,
Yeah.
Because we play for a lot of folks out there, and they don't hear stuff like that. They don't hear he's playing the 5 on the bass when they're still in the 1. And that's, small things like that. But his singing was unbelievable.
Totally agreed, man. I miss Ernie too. I laughed. I used to lay down at night and my face would hurt from laughing all day with that guy. He was a very witty sense of humor, a lot of fun to travel with.
Absolutely. I bet, man. I know that he used to always tell us the story about, cause he had the car accident and stuff, where he had damage done to his face or whatever. And I guess he was playing somewhere, and this may have been with you guys, I don't know, but he was playing and he had like a bass amp or whatever. And I guess it was Skaggs or somebody asked about the bass amp, asking if it was a pig nose. And he just immediately said, "No, man, this is surgery. I had a bad car accident and was trying."
Yeah.
And Ricky was like, "No, that's not what I meant," or whoever.
Right. It was actually somebody else.
Was it?
That said that. They said, "Is that a pig nose?" And
is this with you guys when this happened?
No, this wasn't wasn't the Livewire band, but somebody said, "Is that a pig nose?" And they were talking about the amp.
Yeah.
And Ernie, who was not it didn't bother him at all that the scars and stuff that he had. Yeah. And they said, "Is that a pig nose?" And then Ernie goes, "Man, I was in a wreck." And Skaggs was standing there tuning his mandolin, and he's not even part of the conversation, but he didn't want things to escalate. So then he says it's an amp, because I guess Ernie had never heard of that amp.
Oh my gosh. That's
before.
hilarious.
So he could have interpreted that as an insult.
Oh,
that was the way I always took the story, because I remember Ernie telling me that.
Yeah. Yeah. I just remember Ernie being super funny anyway. And
yeah, he was.
So I figured I knew Ricky was in there somewhere, but that how stories get over the years.
Oh, sure.
But anyway, moving on. What was after Livewire? Was that when you ended up joining Third Time Out, or was there something else that came between then?
No, in between that was me working on construction crews, but not anything.
Oh yeah.
Not anything musical that happened. And the whole Livewire thing it really did just kind of trail off as gigs dried up, and living so far apart, it was really hard for a young band to make enough money to cover expenses. And you know how it is, man. And this was 1990 or 91 by this point, where the gigs really started to dry up for us. And then in early part of 1992 was when I got the call about the 3TO gig.
Yeah.
So probably about a year of not really doing much. I was playing some with Clay Jones. We had regional gigs and stuff like that we would play in the Carolinas. But other than that, it's basically, as far as looking at from one band to the next, it's definitely Livewire and then to 3TO.
What a great time and a great conversation with Wayne Benson right there. We thank him so much for taking the time to chat with Josh and I hope you enjoyed our conversation with him. Some stuff that you're probably not going to hear on any other interview or any other place. So I hope you enjoyed that. And don't forget, next week will be part 2 of our conversation with Wayne Benson. More great stuff coming your way with that. So be sure and stay tuned next week as we bring you episode 95, part 2 of Wayne Benson. So thanks so much for tuning in to the Hometown Bluegrass Show. I am your host, Tim Batts, and we want to hear from you. Check us out on Facebook, the Hometown Bluegrass Show, or go to my website, timbatts.com, and send us a message, drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. So thanks so much for being a fan of the Hometown Bluegrass Show. And remember, if you got time to breathe, you got time for music. Bye.
That's going to do it for this episode of the Hometown Bluegrass Show. Thanks for spending some time with your hosts, Tim Batts and Josh Williams. We hope you learned a little and laughed a lot. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode from the heart of bluegrass. Until next time, keep picking, keep grinning. Tim and Josh look forward to seeing you down the road.